Apple is working to launch their biggest iPhone upgrade we've seen in years, but it is not going to be the iPhone 16. Plus, we've got new confirmation that Apple is working on a folding iPhone launching in the not too distant future, and just a ton of iPhone leaks and rumors on iPhone SE 4, iPhone 16, iPhone 17. A lot of stuff to get into this week, so let me tell you the big Apple news of the week that you need to know about right now. And a huge thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. Okay, so before I get into the good news though, I do have some bad news. I'm sorry, Tim, I know this is gonna break your heart because I'm kinda gonna throw you under the bus for a moment and talk about some new failures under Tim Cook. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously Apple under CEO Tim Cook has been a wildly successful company. He has done a lot of great things for investors and stockholders, but a lot of the products that he's released and services sort of over the last couple of years have really fallen short of expectations, with one of the best recent examples being Vision Pro. We had heard even before Vision Pro was officially released that Apple was cutting and cutting and cutting their expectations, only producing a much smaller number of initial units than previously expected because of what they thought was gonna be some issues with demand. And I guess props to them, they were right, because there is a serious demand issue with Vision Pro, and we're now learning that Apple isn't even likely going to sell just the initial batch of Vision Pro units they had planned to sell for the first year, falling short of those pretty conservative expectations. But bad news for Tim does not stop there, because we're also hearing these days that Apple TV Plus is on sort of a spending rampage, and now being a few years into its launch, Apple's looking to sort of tone down and reel back how much they're spending as the service is losing money. And to Apple's credit, there are some really great shows on Apple TV Plus, even though it took way too long to get Severance Season 2. They've gotten a lot of award nominations and they've won some awards, but we're learning that the viewership just isn't there. In fact, a recent report from Bloomberg said that what Apple TV Plus did in terms of viewership in 1 month, Netflix was doing in 1 day. By all accounts, and from everyone I've talked to, Apple Arcade is not that big of a hit. Apple News Plus, I don't know who's really subscribing to that. I don't think we have subscription numbers on that. Apple Card was such a big issue for the partner bank of Goldman Sachs that they pulled out of their deal with Apple, or in the process of doing so and breaking away because they were losing too much money on it. And Apple TV Plus, as I sort of talked about, is already losing money. I think the only good service that Apple has these days is Apple Music. Apple Music is obviously wildly popular, and that does have some momentum behind it. And look, I'm not here to badmouth Tim Cook all day. I think that he's done obviously a lot of good for Apple, but I am curious for the Apple fans watching this video, Android users, keep your comments to yourself, but Apple fans, drop a comment down below and let me know, what are your thoughts sort of on Tim Cook these days? Do you think he did a good job with his leadership? Do you think that these big pushes on Apple Vision Pro and services and subscriptions, have these been good things, or do you think there's been a lot of focus on finances and not so much on functionality and form and products? Drop a comment down below and let me know. All right, enough shop talking for this video. Let's get into the good stuff and talk about iPhone leaks and rumors, because there's a bunch of stuff to get into this week. Let me sort of go in chronological order. We're now just about a month and a half-ish away from Apple's biggest event of the year, the big September event, where we will be getting the entire iPhone 16 lineup. And as of these days, the phone is pretty much locked in. The design is going to look like this, really not going to be all that different from the iPhone 15. Of course, action button is coming to every single model. There's going to be a new capture button. There's going to be a new camera orientation for the 16 and 16 Plus. And really the big story is that Apple Intelligence will be on all phones. The 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max will get some slightly larger screens. They'll also have a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera. And then really the last sort of recent rumor is that all phones might actually have the same higher end processor, presumably to handle sort of this next generation Apple Intelligence experience, though that is still a little TBD as of right now. But iPhone 16 basically on track to be released later on in this the fall, which is actually coming up way sooner than I think a lot of us are expecting. And the leaks you've seen is still pretty much what's sort of status quo right now. But even more exciting than that these days is what we're hearing about the iPhone 17 17 and what is coming in 2025. Now, stop me if you've heard this before, but we're hearing that there are plenty of reasons these days you might want to wait and not buy the iPhone 16 and go for the iPhone 17, because this is where a lot of the exciting features are expected to come. Now, I'm sure that a lot of the iPhone 16 Pro features will come to the regular iPhone 17 and iPhone 17 Plus. There might even not be a 17 Plus anymore next year. There might just be an iPhone 17 as the base model. Then Apple has their Pro models. And then next year, instead of an Ultra iPhone, we might be getting an iPhone 17 Slim. This is basically like an Ultra iPhone. This is gonna be the most expensive, most pro-level iPhone that Apple has ever made. And the big story with this is a couple of things. One of the things that Apple is definitely focusing on here is sort of going back to the drawing board, re-engineering things, and sort of pushing the limits on what people thought was possible with this technology, with these phones. And if you sort of are in a similar place thinking, you know, I wanna go back to the drawing board, I wanna push the boundaries of what I thought I knew, learn some new things, pick up some new skills, then you, my friend, have gotta check out this video's sponsor, Brilliant, because it's gonna totally change the way you learn. I'm telling you folks, Brilliant is the best way to learn math, data science, and computer science in a fun and interactive way. They've got thousands of lessons across various different topics, with new lessons being added every single month. And what I love about Brilliant, not only is it fun, interactive, for me, it just sort of clicks in a different way with my head because I feel like I can actually learn things by doing, but you can do all this at your own pace and on your own time. You only got 5-10 minutes, you can jump in and then jump out when you need to. Or if you've got a couple hours on a weekend, you can really dive in and do some fun stuff and learn some new things. I think one of the things I love here is the flexibility, and also, again, you're solving problems in a real world way. It's not just sort of reading text on a page, but you're sort of solving problems and learning by doing. Best of all here is that you can check out everything Brilliant has to offer right now, totally for free for 30 days, just by hitting the link down below or going to brilliant.org/theapplecircle. And if you go through our special link, you can get 20% off an annual plan as well. So you've got nothing to lose and everything to learn and gain. So again, learn more, check out Brilliant for yourself, and start learning in a fun and interactive way by clicking the link down below or heading to brilliant.org/theapplecircle. One is a focus on a very thin design, as Apple is really these days focusing on really thin and lightweight products again, like with the iPad Pro. We're hearing that they're gonna have a bigger focus on thinness with the new MacBook Pros and other Apple products. Apparently this iPhone 17 Slim, probably not gonna use that name, but basically that's what we'll call it for these days, is going to have a big focus on slimness and thinness. So that is going to be a big part of the new iPhone 17 high-end model for next year. Also, with that focus on slimness, Apple is actually going to ditch the titanium that they've been using in the iPhone 15 Pro series and 16 Pro. They're not gonna go with stainless steel, but they actually might go back to aluminum with this higher end model just for those weight savings. Actually, they're still using aluminum on the regular non-Pro phones, so will be interesting to see that material come to a high-end phone, but that is the case for next year. And just going to be a very high-end phone with a lot of high-end features. We're hearing that Apple not only would shrink the dynamic island, or at least the actual physical cutout on the front of the phone, to just have a little bit of a cutout there for the selfie camera, but also would be getting a higher-end selfie camera, maybe a 48 megapixel selfie camera. And then on the back, one of the biggest iPhone changes we've seen in a number of years is a shift of the camera system from sort of the corner of the phone to the middle of the phone, a la Google Pixel and what other Android phones are doing by moving the cameras more towards the center of the phone. So definitely a radical redesign for the iPhone 17 Slim just by looking at the back of the phone, and also the front of the phone should look a little bit more something like this rather than this, which we'll have on the iPhone 16 Pro and presumably iPhone 17 Pro, the non-slim phones. A couple other tidbits we're hearing right now is that Apple could be working on a higher-end anti-reflective, scratch-resistant coating for the screen on this phone, so that'd be cool to see. Also, the screen size would be about 6.5 inches, and we're hearing that all the cameras on the phone might be 48 megapixels, so basically upgraded cameras across the board, including that upgraded selfie camera as well. Obviously, with all those cool things, probably will come a higher price tag, but I think a lot of iPhone enthusiasts, like myself, I'm a sucker for it, will probably buy this phone. As we hear more, I will let you know. Of course, the closer we get to next year, we'll hear more stuff and rumors will change, but again, take it with a major grain of salt. But as of right now, iPhone 17 sounding way more exciting than the iPhone 16. Now, just as I mentioned, you should take all this with a major grain of salt. Keep in mind that this story is always changing. In fact, right before this video went up, Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo has his own sources and thoughts on iPhone 17 Slim, and he says this will have some sort of titanium frame, and also, very controversial, just one camera on the back that Apple might supercharge, a big departure from the 3 cameras we've had for years now on the Pro and iPhones. We've also got new information that Apple is in fact moving forward on making a folding iPhone. Now we're hearing from the information that Apple might be releasing this as early as 2026. They're moving forward with their project, and we're getting confirmation again that Apple is not going the route of the Z Fold, or like a sort of a book, but more like the Z Flip, where it sort of opens and closes into a more compact form factor. Though we're hearing right now the biggest issue Apple is facing internally is with the crease. They don't want to have a visible crease. They don't want to have anything obstructing their beautiful high-end iPhone, and that is currently the issue they're working to fix right now, but it seems like Apple is actually working internally on making a folding iPhone reality. Not sure, with all these rumors, we always hear it's coming in the next 2 years and it gets pushed back and pushed back, so who knows if 2026 is when we see this, but is interesting to hear that this rumor is not dead, but Apple is working on making this folding iPhone a reality. Last but certainly not least, iPhone SE 4 continues to get better and better and better every time we hear rumors about it, and basically, sounds like Apple is gonna give their budget iPhone a lot of love this year. We're now hearing that it's gonna have an iPhone 15 style design. It's gonna have a main camera that's a 48 megapixel sort of camera system there, just one camera, but we'll finally be getting a 6.1 inch OLED display, so goodbye Touch ID. We've now got a higher end screen there. We're gonna be getting Face ID. The action button will be here on this new phone. We might be getting a more modern A18 processor inside of this phone as well, and just overall, for around the $500 price point, Apple is gonna be bringing their A game with a more budget-conscious iPhone this year. So a better camera, a way more modern design, bigger screen, a better screen, and actually an OLED display, hopefully better battery life, good processor, good efficiency. If you're looking for a great iPhone option and don't want to break the bank, the iPhone SE has long been a great way to go, but with the current design, it's a little old, a little dated, a little small, but this should be getting way better, and we're now hearing should be launching in the spring or around the spring, sort of early to mid 2025. All right, folks, so that is it. That is the iPhone and Apple news we know right now. Drop a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this, your thoughts on iPhone 15, 16, 17, iPhone Fold, iPhone SE 4. Are you excited or not? Are you upgrading the iPhone 16? Are you in for the 17? Drop a comment down below and let me know. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for your support. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle, and I'll see you all in the next one.